Here is one big way to help save the world. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. One course of action to save the world is to take a chainsaw to immensely wasteful spending on so-called renewables, primarily windmills and solar panels. This would free up money for productive investment to fuel desperately needed economic growth. The world is in sorry shape economically. The World Bank's estimate of global growth for 2024 is only 2.7%. This after a pathetic 1.7% last year. And that 2.7% may prove to be too optimistic. Post-COVID, economies should be surging. Instead, most are treading water or are declining. Developing countries are languishing. Bigger ones like China are not doing too much better. China says it'll expand 5% in 2024, but no one believes Beijing's numbers anymore, not with huge unemployment among young people and a still troubled property market, once a major engine of growth. Germany, Japan, and Britain are in recession or close to it. President Joe Biden boasts we have the best economy in the world, but our performance is substandard by historic standards and is unhealthily buttressed by big government spending. Amazingly, given the way we calculate GDP, government spending directly boosts GDP. The more checks Uncle Sam sends out, the higher the GDP number. Washington will shovel out about $7 trillion this financial year, a higher annual level than even during the pandemic. Countries are drowning in debt. Total world debt is $300 trillion, almost 3 times the size of the global economy. We badly need capital going to productive investments to fire up badly needed economic growth. Slashing spending on alternative energy sources would free up enormous sums of money to get economies expanding again. This is particularly crucial for poorer nations facing politically toxic stagnation. Renewables are supposed to save the planet by eliminating emissions of carbon dioxide, but more and more evidence points to the fact that the massive amounts of minerals needed for such a switch and other environmentally damaging steps in this process ends up at best a draw with fossil fuels. In other words, we're wasting unimaginable amounts of money for nothing. Consider this. In this century, we've spent almost $6 trillion on renewables, and the amount of energy worldwide coming from fossil fuels has declined from 86% to 83%. Now imagine if all those resources had gone instead into producing new businesses, expanding existing ones, creating new life-enhancing technologies, and ensuring safe water for everyone. How much better off the world would be. Or ponder this. Incredibly, emissions from Europe peaked in 1979. Emissions from the U.S. peaked in 2005. We have 2 surefire clean energy sources. One is natural gas, the other nuclear power. Yet the Biden administration is throttling output of natural gas, even though the U.S. is loaded with it. Simultaneously, regulators are stifling exciting advances in nuclear energy, most specifically smaller modular reactors, SMRs, that are much easier to construct, saving considerable time and costs. SMRs can supply power to compact areas like towns, campuses, and data centers. But government regulations are smothering SMRs by adding immense unnecessary expenses and delays. The conclusion is clear. Nuclear power and natural gas make not only for a safer environment, but a more prosperous world. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.